There is nothing like being at Wembley Stadium with 90,000 people singing, chanting, clapping. It's just absolutely amazing. Dad, being a mad football fan, in the cold Canberra nights, would get up at about 12:30 or 1 o'clock in the morning, us kids in our dressing gowns and pyjamas and slippers, and we'd sit there and we'd watch the FA Cup final. Watching the fans, the flags, the songs of Wembley was just amazing. So having the opportunity to work on Wembley was a dream come true. My time with Wembley started off the back of the work that I was doing for the Sydney 2000 Games. Then in the middle of '99, I relocated to London and had the fantastic opportunity to work on Wembley Stadium. When you look at a project such as Wembley and you consider the incredibly rich history, you have a huge amount of responsibility. So whilst you're trying to capture what's happened up to that point in time, you're also really trying to create a platform for the new venue, for the new Wembley Stadium. From the very beginning, back in '99, the first concept that we actually went out to the general public actually had masts instead of the arch. Obviously, an arch is one of the most efficient, if not the most efficient, way to deal with considerable loads. We weren't able to impose any loads on our neighbours, so obviously as the arch goes up, the higher the arch, the more lateral the loads are back down through into the ground. So whilst the arch is still an iconic part of what the current Wembley is, it's actually working very, very hard in itself. It holds up all of the northern portion of the roof and about 60% of the southern roof as well. You've got to understand that just from a physical point of view, from a scale and size point of view, the new venue was considerably larger. There's a fantastic section which you can look at it. Basically, the Royal Box in the old Wembley basically sits about the centre line of the current pitch. So it's just vastly, vastly different. Tie that into what the cultural, what the aspirational needs are of a project like that. It's quite interesting what you then end up needing to focus on. For instance, we actually had the acoustic engineers come in and acoustically map the famous Wembley roar. One of the other things we had to include within there as well was it had to be able to host track and field. Now, as most people know, if you put a track and field of play around a football pitch, it forces everybody back. So came up with a seating bowl that could basically accommodate track and field at a future date by including a platform that sat about 6.5, 7 metres above the current Wembley pitch. That gave us enough spread, it gave us enough space basically for a track and field of play. I was lucky enough to go to the first FA Cup final there in 2007. Lucky enough to bring my father over. So Dad, coming from the sort of cold lounge rooms of Canberra, watching it as a kid on the TV, to being able to be there with my father all those years later. It's an incredibly satisfying feeling when you're watching people being able to engage and use your buildings, the buildings which you've had a chance to work on.